Thank you very much, Emily. Today there is with me also Ronen and Refaeli, who will be presenting a couple of slides with me as well. So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening for some. For those who are early morning joining us from the States, hopefully you had some morning coffee. So I'm from Defender for Cloud Apps and MDA team, Customer Experience Engineering team. As I mentioned as well, there is Ronen with me. Ron, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you. As Greg mentioned, step in the middle of the presentation and present several slides. I'll let Greg to begin.
Thank you so much. So please feel free to ask any questions in the chat window, and we will try to answer them as we go. And then after the presentation and a quick demo as well, I'll be able to pick up any questions that are outstanding. The questions will be published online as well. So if there's anything we miss, we'll try to answer them as well after the fact. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. So let's look into the agenda. So today we're going to talk about, we would like you to take away from this webinar and the awareness of OAuth risks and all applications and risk involved with using them. So it's not going to be just focused on the Salesforce incident, but we just want to make sure that you are aware of how potentially risky and dangerous OAuth applications might be, and also how MDA can help you to prevent and protect from malicious OAuth applications. We'll jump into demo after quick presentation, and hopefully we have good enough time for answering all your questions. Okay, so let's talk about OAuth applications and risks involved. So you probably are familiar with this pop-up window, and it's been there for a while. It's probably you could be familiar with this from the from applications like Facebook and other social media apps. I think everyone who is using those applications have seen similar app trying to get access to your profile, get access to your space. So it's very similar in enterprise environment, and we can see potentially there is loads of things could go wrong because users might not be reading what's part of these permissions that they are granting, and also that there is. We want to make sure that that there is some awareness as well, and they know what they click in. But obviously, we want to make sure that you are protected from the backend, and we're going to depict different scenarios, and also we'll depict how MDA can help you, and especially app governance can help you to detect those malicious applications that have been allowed potentially by users or also administrators. So. Okay, so let's jump into the next slide. So you can see when we go to the previous slide, when user accept the permissions and what's happening after that. So you can see here, we depict here real world attack. So you can see what's happening on the beginning. User allows the consent, it could be a phish email, it could be a document, they click on the link and then they will allow the malicious application. The token you can see it's been stolen there, and you can see there is different persistence and the defense evasion once you go along through the process, and then there is exfiltration and also privilege escalation. So it's a business as usual for the bad guys, right? You can see how dangerous those permissions can be, and especially around applications that are around the non-human identities that quite often they go under the radar. Scenarios like this, we can see that the organizations we're working with quite often the global admins on top of the radar, but you can think about the really high permissions that the application might have, like you can see on the screen here, read, write, and they could be very, very dangerous and will basically allow access to the crown jewels, right? So it's a really common real life OAuth attack that we see out there. and you see how similar the Salesforce or Salesloft attack was. Okay, so let's say you can see the previous screen. There was a user allowed malicious application, right? What if you've got what if you prevent? So you might say, okay, but we don't allow users consent to applications, but administrator could be also compromised. So you can see here there is this attack compromised through the password spraying, so the administrator has been compromised, and then there is the malicious application with the URL. So it's another use case here, another case use scenario, and you can see how quick things are moving along. Sometimes like the malicious insider can be sitting there for some time, exploring options, and then it could be just as little as a couple of days. And what we're trying to do, we're trying to make you aware as well that there is something we've got like we could call it as a circuit breaker. It's something like it's called OAuth app attack disruption. So attack is disruption, and it's so MDA app governance is part of it now, right? So then you can see as part of this attack chain, we can actually disrupt the attack before it actually goes ahead. So we've got a number of folks who are focusing on similar attacks, and we can predefine with really high confidence when the attack happens, we can prevent this from continuing. So this is just kind of high level to give you like a quick overview that there's some additional circuit breakers or attack disruption that prevents or helps you to keep your environment safe. Okay, so we know what OAuth applications are. We know like a high level the attack chain, and before we dive into the Salesforce example, we just want to give you like a couple of other risks overview that could be brought by applications that are already trusted in your environment. It could be basically the attack vector, and you can also say that the legitimate application could be used to create other applications, gain access to the environment, and as you can see on the first just here on the left, you can see that that's our user who was potentially click on something and allowed application in the environment. So you can see how risky it could be. The malicious insider could be getting access to the emails, to backend, and it's not just M365, but it's also Salesforce and Google Workspace. So we'll discuss how app governance can prevent and help you to detect similar scenarios. So from this slide, we would like to take away something really important, that there is a number of applications, actually 1 out of 3 applications in customers' environments that are really overprivileged. So it means they've got high privileges, and quite often they're actually not used. So it's potential disaster waiting to happen. So we want to make sure that we can detect those applications and limit the risk. And you can see that the reason we bring this up is because during the AI era, you can see there is more and more OAuth applications, and you will learn in a couple of slides how those kind of even chatbots could be exploited to compromise the environment. So here we've got the Salesforce Salesloft drift incident. So you will learn it's not really specifically issue with the Salesforce, but you can see you will learn how Salesloft drift application was actually used to compromise the tenant. So you can see, we'll give you like a quick overview. So drift application, it's basically primarily a conversational marketing platform. It's basically AI chatbot, offers some AI chatbot functionality, and it's using some automation to qualify leads, schedule meetings, and engage with website visitors, right? And you can see you probably have used a chatbot before, you have used some AI applications, and you can see they can pose some risks as well. And you can see in here the drift Salesloft. In this case, you can see on the screen it's got access to various environments. It's not just Salesforce, right? So if it's been approved to access Microsoft 365, the Google environment, and other environments, it could pose serious risk as well. So you can see on the left we've got the user, and then it's got the drift Salesloft application that can access other environment. So let's guess where's the weakest link here, right? So as we'll probably learn, you can see that it's probably a user on the left side here, right? And you can see you could potentially click on the application and allow the application and environment. And then you can see the potential app Salesloft, which in our case is Salesloft Drift. Because it's got access, it got the OAuth token, it can request data, request access from the Salesforce environment. So actually here you can see how the threat actor, so to be like more precise, first the GitHub was compromised. So we've got the access through the GitHub. There was some downloads of the code. Then the malicious actor gets access into the other environments, which in this case was AWS. Potentially, and what happened there? The tokens were stolen, and then the other environment was created. So different threat actor infrastructure, different tenant created, and potentially virtual machine. And also from there, the Salesforce could be further compromised thanks to the stolen OAuth tokens. So let's look into some details how Defender for Cloud Apps can prevent and help you to detect similar attacks. So Ronen, would you like to take over?
Yes, thank you, Greg. Just a few comments before I start. Let me just begin with that it's not nothing special. It's not really new, and it's not really directly related to Salesforce by itself. We are aware of this kind of SaaS vulnerability for almost 10 years, but in the recent 2 or 3 years, we see a tremendous trend that is gaining track, and we see more and more attacks and adversaries are using Auth application as part of their work, and we can see that it's being used almost in every technique, starting with initial access, as Greg mentioned just before, going through reconnaissance, persistence, and also exfiltration, and also in some cases also lateral movement between different SaaS environments. In this case, they indeed use the tokens to move from Salesforce to other services, especially direct messaging and file storage services. So the issue with Auth application can be looked at as a tool that is being used by adversaries as part of their endeavors to breach organizations. And also another thing that I want to mention before I go over how Defender for Cloud Apps can be used, I think that we should be aware that this Auth has been used as part of a breach of trust. They haven't used any kind of vulnerabilities. We haven't seen any kind of a buffer overflow or any kind of privilege escalations, etc. Like we know with devices. The issue here was the breach of the trust. In some of the cases, the adversaries use the prerequisite investigation to see who in the attacked organization are using Salesforce, who has access to the Salesforce environment. They deliberately targeted them by phone and manipulate them to agree to press yes on the picture that Greg just mentioned in the approval of the Auth applications. And in most of the cases, people are not aware of the significance of approving this kind of Auth application that is similar or very close to giving your password away and giving also your multi-factor authentication away. So the impact is really graven here. Thank you, Greg. When you click on allow, you basically give the adversary access to everything that your account has access to. So it's a significant thing. So the most important thing, as I believe, is to increase the awareness of the threats that lies under the Auth application, which is a great technology, but it comes with many risks. Okay, so how to use Defender for Cloud Apps against this attack? First and foremost, I think that the most important thing for Defender for Cloud App users is to establish a connector for Salesforce. It's not widely used, and it's one of the main tools that Defender for Cloud Apps has that allow Defender for Cloud Apps gaining visibility to these third-party applications like Salesforce. In addition to Salesforce, Defender for Cloud Apps has approximately 20 to 25 connectors to most of the main SaaS applications that are being used around the world. And once this connector has been established, which is basically connecting an API between Defender for Cloud Apps to Salesforce or to any other connector, to any other SaaS application, it allows MDA to get the data from the service, analyze it, moving it through a set of anomaly engines, and to establish or to allow or to enable, would be the best way to look at it, all the threat protection capabilities that our product can provide. So the issue is, I think that this is really the base of the pyramid. I think it's the most important thing that we should get away from this webinar. If you're using Defender for Cloud Apps, go and establish the connector. Without it, all the other things in the next slides will be impossible. Great, please, one click. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you. So let's start with the things that are available after the connector has been established. We're talking about the discovery capabilities, which are available via the assets page, going to applications, Auth tab, and then you can see Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, and also Salesforce, which are the connectors that has been deployed in this test environment, where we took the screen from. Sorry for that. And from here, we can see in the page all the Auth applications that have been established in this specific environment. Now, this gives you the basic visibility of what's happening under the umbrella of the organization, which Auth application has been established by the users of the organization, how many gave the permissions, what are the permissions, and it also allows you as a security or as an application admin to have following the control, following the visibility, you have also the control to limit or to block them, as we can see in the next slides. So, as I said, we're starting with the connector, then the discovery, and then Greg, let's go to the next slide. Thank you. And then after we get the basic discovery, just before responding to it, it allows us to have the option to investigate it. As I said, this data is being ingested by our analytic engines and our anomaly engines, and when some of the data is being tagged as dangerous or as a malicious attempt, we raise an alert and we are putting them on the alerts or in the incident pages that are part of the XDR Defender platform. Also, in addition, we have the option of advanced hunting, which is a part of the XDR platform, of the OneSoc platform. Over there, the users can really build any kind of dedicated queries to understand and to dig into any kind of breach or suspected breach, and to understand who are the relevant users that are related to it, what happened over there, when, which applications are related, etc., etc. Now, in the blog post that we shared about this issue just a while ago, and later on we will publish it in the chat, you can see our suggestions for advanced hunting queries. You can take them, you can edit them, and you can actually use them in advanced hunting to see if your system has been breached. And you can take them as a template and edit them as you wish to suit the best for your environment. In addition to these queries, we can say that one of the detections that we already had in the system, which is called, the title goes by possible Salesforce scraping activity, has been modified to be more and has been sharpened to find more attacks. Not only the attacks like we've seen in Salesforce recently, but we're looking for the signatures. So we might also catch other attacks that are similar in nature. This is about the alerting and investigation capabilities. We can go to the next slide. Thank you. And also, in addition, there are the issue of respond, which are not the disruption capabilities that Greg mentioned before, but because the disruption capabilities are automatic. Here, I'm referring to the manual response capabilities after the investigation, following the alert having popped into the alerts and incident page to the SOC team. One of the things that the operator can do is actually go to the application via the assets application of Salesforce section, like we see in the discovery, and they can choose the options, and they can ban the app from accessing data from the organization, or they can go to the more let's call it more forced thing, and to revoke the app entirely, which actually block the Auth applications entirely. So to put it in a visual way, it's more like a pyramid. We need to have the connector available. Without the connector, all the other things will not be possible. So the connector brings you the visibility that allows MTA to discover this Auth application. In addition to it, we have all those kind of anomaly detections and rules and logic that we implement to see any kind of malicious attempts. And if we see them, we raise an alert, which available to the SOC team, and also is available in the advanced hunting for additional investigation. And based on it, we also allow to respond to block an application from accessing data, or to revoke this application entirely. So at the moment, these are the tools that Defender for Cloud Apps is providing its users to address this specific attack. And I can say that, again, we're not talking only about the Salesforce breach, but in general, about addressing breach that are based on Auth applications in their initial state, or in any kind of step along the way, such as exfiltration, lateral movement, etc. All of those things are being looked after as part of the logic, and if we see any kind of signatures along the way, we raise an alert. That's basically it. I will bring the stage back to you, Greg. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So let's take a little bit of a step back and give you a overview in general of app governance. So Ronen mentioned a couple of times of the connector, and specifically we're talking about the connector for Salesforce, but we do support obviously connector for M365 and also for Google Workspace. So those are those three connectors, three SaaS SaaS environments that we can get deep insights into app-to-app activity of those malicious, potentially dangerous and good applications or OAuth applications, right? So when we look into the app-to-app protection, we call it app governance in MDA, and you can see it's one of the pillars, and it's a very important pillar that we make a lot of investments. And let's take a look how we can actually protect your environment, help you to protect your environment from the attacks that we just mentioned. So we've got, first we need to think about this discovery, right? So I think most of you are familiar with Shadow IT Discovery, and they're probably using the Discovery, Shadow IT Discovery and then dashboard in our portal. And some of the customers are still not aware of discovering OAuth applications. So that's why we just want to make sure that we are aware of this functionality. We'll dive into the dashboard very shortly. But you can see that the capabilities to discover, as you can see on the screen here, we can verify the app origin, if it's internal or external application. We can create some custom policies to look into overprivileged applications, newly registered applications that are not compliant, so they might not have specific certificate, or they might be coming from unknown publisher. And also we can look into the unusual spikes in data usage or API activity, right? So if there's like trend changes, something unusual, we use machine learning that we can actually detect those applications, notify you. And there's also a way to use those policies to disable those applications. So thanks to those policies, we can understand if there's any high privileges for those applications. We can also look into the usage policies as well, so the trends of the potential, the downloads and then API spikes as well. So once we've got those applications discovered, we can govern them, right? So we can create more tighter policies as well, and also evaluate those applications, go through available, and I will show you on the demo. We can go through the registered applications and evaluate them, and also govern them through some more defined policies that match your governance and requirements in your environment. And we can investigate the risky apps. We can streamline the app onboarding, so we can include app governance as part of the process that you might already have in your environment when you're registering Entra applications with your Entra ID. Sometimes there are like different teams who are involved with those registrations that might be not aware of app governance functionality. So yeah, it's a good way to introduce them to the app governance. And once we discover, we govern our application, and we can investigate suspicious OAuth application activities. So Ronen gave us a quick overview of the example of advanced hunting queries that we can run through and look for hunt for specific activities for specific applications. And also, you can, have a overview of those applications, not just through advanced hunting, but through user interface as well, to get more details about them. Yeah, so once we are aware how to investigate those applications, and we need to think about operationalization of app governance. So just to make sure that you're not just signing in once, you just want to make sure you keep monitoring of the new applications, because your environment could be green today, but if there is some policies might need adjustment, there'll be new applications registered, or you might still have some backlog of applications that you need to review and get back to the overview, to the dashboard. So you can filter out, you can create specific filters that will help you to narrow down the applications that you need to go through. And there's a couple of examples here. It could be some dormant applications. There could be applications with the weak security posture, things that have been potentially have. You can actually look for very specific permissions, and then basically export the list of the applications that like a screenshot of apps in your environment. And then you can get back to it as well, and then evaluate if there's any new applications being registered. And you can use advanced hunting, and basically through advanced hunting you can create some rules as well. And I should mention OAuth app info table that could be very useful for you for exporting as well related KQL queries. It can provide you with the details of the applications, and you've got two options: either export it through the user interface or gather relevant details and then use them through the advanced hunting, and then from there you can export it as well. So I just want to make sure that everyone is aware. So we've got people joining this webinar from all over the world. We just want to make sure that you are aware that there's some new regions that we support. There's a couple of them they're recently that we made available on the screen here, listed in orange here. So we almost support the most of the world. There's still some exceptions, as you can see in red, but all the blue places are where we support app governance, and you can get all the benefits of the app governance. So let's dive into the demo of the app governance. Okay. So this is the overview and the dashboard we mentioned earlier on a couple of times, and Ronen mentioned connected to Salesforce as a prerequisite to get access to the Salesforce environment and the Google workspace. So we'll go through this in a minute, but here we want to give you like overview of all the applications that had been registered in Entra ID, and there are basically M365 applications here, and we've got greater control and deeper insights compared to the Google workspace and the Salesforce, right? So we have a lot more insights. We can provide you with the more granular policies as well. So but let's look into what we've got here on the screen when you log in for the first time. It's quite frequently it's an eye opener for customers, and they can see how many potentially overprivileged applications there are, and you can see unused applications that haven't been used for a while. And then we've got highly privileged applications that we can see usage of those permissions, but they could be also evaluated. So you can see the latest incidents. So obviously MDA and app governance is part of Defender XDR portal. So then therefore you have access to those incidents through the investigation response. But here we've got just a quick shortcut to get access to a specific incident that you can investigate. So it's like high level overview, what's potentially risky around your applications, because if those applications have been already evaluated, there is no incidents, I think you're in a green then. But we just see that's not happening that often. It's as I mentioned, it's an eye opener for customers. So we just want to make sure that you've got a good overview of where to start. And I'll give you a couple of ideas how to start. And as I mentioned during the previous slides, when we discussed the operationalizations, I'll give you a couple of examples. And also we'll go quickly over the overview of Google and Salesforce as well, and potential policies, right? So we can see like a bird's eye view of the applications and which Microsoft 365 and workloads, the services have been accessed. So you can see here Exchange, SharePoint, and Teams. And then we've got the data usage. So this is those spikes that I was talking about. So this is like a just high level overview to have like a good bird's eye view of what's happening potentially in your environment. And then you can be more granular and create some custom policies to actually look for specific access to specific workloads, so spikes on some app download activity or API activity as well, something I mentioned. And so let's look into Microsoft 365 panel. So as we mentioned, there is a connector required, M365 connector for Google Workspace, obviously Google connector, and then the Salesforce. Those three screens are slightly different because obviously there's different API options there, and obviously, as I mentioned, we've got way more granularity and way more details in M365 than we've got the Salesforce. So this is just a quick overview. You can see the number of applications that have been registered with the Salesforce, which user authorized it, and also the instance as well. And as Ronen mentioned, there is an option to mark as approved or ban an application, and also create a policy to ban those applications. When we go back to the M365, I wanted to give you like a quick overview of the specific permissions you might be looking for, and like potential ways of operationalization as well of app governance, just to make sure that you get the benefit from it, not just one single sign in, just to make sure that you actually will get constant monitoring and you stay on top of the ever-growing number of applications in your environment. So we mentioned the app origin, internal and external. We can look into the permission in use, if the permission has been in use or some has been used, or there is we cannot, because some permissions we cannot detect if they have been actually used or not. This depends on the API. Then we've got something that our customers really value, and you can see on my slides there was like a high level permission that was mail access, but read, write, all. But we can look for directory, read, write. Okay, so let's see if I've got some strong applications here with strong permissions. And then we can see, oh, there is an app, was it created by the developer, and maybe has been, well, we can see in environments it could be, designed a couple of years ago and then potentially not used. So we just want to make sure if the application has been used. So here, when we get some more details about the application before we think about disabling this, and frequently you would need to verify and double check with the application owner, and especially the team as well, who is managing could be responsible for registering those applications. So we want to make sure that you double check before you disabling this as well. But it's like a high level overview here. From this tab, you've got the option to have a good high level summary of this application, so you can see immediately some red flags that you want to pay attention to. You can see the certification we mentioned, if the community has been used, if it's like common application or not. And remember, there could be some well-known applications that could be actually also compromised, and it could be your internal applications. Remember, we discussed about this, used as the vector of attack, and could be also compromised. So it doesn't mean that application that's been, that has been approved and you're 100% happy with this application, they could be always compromised. That's why we want to look into the data usage, unusual activity, and as I mentioned, we've got basically machine learning as well that helps to detect those activities through our detections. So on top of the out-of-the-box policies, we've got detections that can look into those unusual activities, and we'll share in the chat as well the link to those description of those detections as well. Here we've got the data usage, so something that we display if we can see activity coming to Exchange Online API. There is also OneDrive, SharePoint, and Teams. So in this scenario, this application didn't create, or we didn't see any activity for those workloads in the last 30 days. So we can look into users. So we can see we've got the total consent users. We've got the permissions that have been granted to those applications. So this is the permission read, write all, applications read, write all, and the user read. So we can see if it's the type of the privilege application or if it's delegated, and also really interesting sensitivity label. So if the application has been accessing the, your potential crown jewels, the very, sensitive documents that have been, marked, or they have applied some labels, sensitivity labels, we can also bring them to your attention here. But I wanted to show you as well, you can use the consent grants. For example, you can use number of the pre-created advanced hunting queries that we created for your convenience. So here we've got an example of consent grants, and then it will take you, once you click on it, it will take you to the advanced hunting pre-populated query that you can run, and then it will bring you consented users. Can take a little bit to run, so we'll get back to this. They've got the app activities. We can click on this one and then get a little bit more information about the specific app activity around SharePoint, OneDrive, Microsoft Teams. In this case, we know we're not going to get much because we could see we couldn't see the activity here around the data usage. But we can get the for specific applications that actually have been the workloads and have been accessed, we can actually get more data there. So this is like an overview of each application that's registered with Entra ID. That's what we call it here in M365 workloads, because they're accessing the SharePoint, Teams, OneDrive. They've got some permissions that could be very sensitive there. Then we've got the Google and then Salesforce. We'll get into this in a second. So we've got the number of apps here listed. For larger environments, it could be hundreds of apps. So it's good to have them, marked, so we can basically export the view. We can click on the export and share it with the team who initially approved those applications, and it could be different teams who would potentially get access to app governance. It could be SOC teams. It could be the same team that's doing with identity management. That's potentially using Entra on daily basis. So they could see a greater benefit of using app governance that can give them more information around what's happening in their environment. Let's stick with M365. We'll get into Google and the Salesforce in a second, but I just want to give you quick example of the policy that you can create for M365. So click on the create policy. We've got a couple of templates: permissions, usage, certification, activity, access to sensitive data, the labels I mentioned, certification, if the app has been certified or not, permissions, overprivileged, unused applications. So you can see from the overview panel, you could see the potentially overprivileged applications or very specific permissions. Here you can create persistent policies that will keep your environment clean. We've got usage, unused applications, increase in use in users, new app with high data usage, right? Or we can go into custom if we're more experienced, and then, or we would like to browse what's possible. So we're just gonna create a quick policy here, custom policy, so you can have a view of all the possibilities that you can choose for, or the predicates you can choose for your policy. And let's go next. So I selected the severity medium. So it depends what you are aiming, what kind of policy you are aiming to create. It could be high, medium, low. then we can customize the policy. Obviously, we don't have anything in default because we didn't use the template, and we can use specific app targeted to specific application, all applications except some applications. Let's say there could be some apps that you know won't be compliant because they could be part of dev applications. For the interest of time, we just go and click all apps. And then we choose all the conditions that we've got available. You know, starting with the app registration age. So we can look for applications that have been just recently registered and they don't fulfill any certification requirements in your environment. They don't have publisher verified. And also maybe they're immediately overprivileged. So we want to raise an alert on those applications. We don't need to necessarily disable them, but we would like to get some like awareness and alerts on those applications, right? And then also something I will mention, the usage trends, you know, the API access trends, if there's any error rate. So quite often there's, you know, malicious applications could create a lot of errors. So we could alert on those applications. We could get much better visibility what's happening in your environment. So although we can use some basic, you know, scripts in Entra ID, but it's not really giving you all those insights into activity. So it just gives you like permissions, basically yes or no, right? And they can list the permissions. Here you've got actually, thanks to our integration with the APIs, you can get a lot of more information in terms of activity of this application, right? So we can choose application registration rate, so the recently registered applications. We want to look into if this application has been overprivileged, and also let's say if there is a publisher, it's not verified. Then we'll have the policy that will start evaluating currently enabled application in your environment and new apps as well. And this is the option to disable app. And obviously we discussed already. And then once we are ready, or we can just pre-create the policy and just wait till it's been approved. I'm not gonna just deploy it for now. I just want to give you like overview what's been created, and then we can just submit the app. Submit the policy, and once we are ready, we can enable it and start getting alerts in the environment. Okay, and let's have a look at the Salesforce, because some of you might be interested what we've got there. So if we've got the Salesforce connector enabled, as you know, Ronen mentioned, we can actually get the insights into those app connected apps in the Salesforce environment. As we mentioned, we can create some policies, which will take you in a second. We've got an option to ban ban an application straight away or mark it as approved, that we have evaluated this. We've got an option to excuse me, report the app and revoke the application or notify users as well. So when you look into actually policies, so we've got M365 policies, so those that we just depicted, and also we've got the policies for OAuth environments and applications that are registered with Google and Salesforce, right? So we can give you like an overview of one of the policies here. What we've got available, we can target Google Workspace or Salesforce, and then select specific filter. So we'll be looking for the applications that are specific app, right? Or we can look for applications that have been, you know, the community usage. It's very common, uncommon. We can look into apps that the app state is approved, banned, or undetermined. And also we can, you know, target specific instance. We can look into the uncommon or rare community usage here, and we can also select specific users as well, right? So based on that, we can start getting some alerts and also, create some governance actions. So revoke third-party auth, app user token, or notify user, right? So we've got an option to use also create some Power Automate playbooks. In this case, scenarios for Google Workspace and the Salesforce. So you can see variety of the options we've got. They're not exactly the same as M365. Quite different as well. It all depends on the reliance on those Salesforce and Google Workspace APIs. So this is an overview of those three environments, three different type of policies as well. I didn't click on Google Workspace, but we have basically the same options. I want to get some time as well in case we've got some questions we need to answer as well. I'm just gonna look into the chat as well. Ronen, Emily, are there any questions we need to follow up? Anything you would like to read on the screen, Emily?
Yeah, it looks like we have two questions that have come through that we haven't answered yet. The first one says, if app was blocked by admin from app governance, this was somehow communicated to end user who is trying to grant consent, or will it not allow him even to grant the consent window?
So if the app has been disabled in M365, we don't have an option. So you can see we can disable it there. We can disable it from app governance, or we can do this from the Entra ID. We don't have an option to notify user. And as you could see, we can actually notify users in the Salesforce or Google Workspace. But yeah, that's something that we heard as well, the feedback for M365 environment. But yeah, there is an option to do this. And
just one comment,
yes.
Greg. As far as I remember, it was by design, because if the assumption that the user has been compromised, we don't want to raise the attention to the adversary. But it's something that, as far as I remember, the relevant product owners are aware of, and I don't know what is the decision or if any steps are being done to do it automatically, or if it's considered. But at the moment, it's not being notified to the user, and it's by design. And if you want to do it, you need to do what you're doing right now, to do it manually. So that's the situation at the moment. And again, the rationale behind it is the assumption is that the user has been compromised, and we don't want to give this tip that it's been monitored.
Thank you for that as well, insights. Okay, good stuff. So any other questions, Emily?
Yes, we have another question that says, does the data go to Sentinel when we enable the app governance, which therefore costs us in addition to the MDCA license? The documentation seems to not include the costs associated when turning the app governance or warning for any impact.
So it will only go if you already have, it's not going to go automatically, no, to Sentinel. So it's not going to be negative impact. And if you already are if you already have alerts connected, integration with the Sentinel, and you're already, feeding the alerts into Sentinel, yes, the app governance will be adding to the extra load, right? So it depends how many alerts you get. There is obviously some, I think there is the allowance per user per megabyte per day, but we need to look into details with the Sentinel folks as well. But automatically, so just to summarize, if you do not have enabled Sentinel integration, enabling or started using app governance, it's not gonna magically fit the alerts in the Sentinel. If you do have it, and app governance will add into the extra alerts as well. Yeah.
Great. And then our next question says, is there a way that I can ensure that my employees can use Copilot Chat AI and guarantee that they are authenticated?
Is there a way that the users are authenticated to the Chat AI? And So we're thinking about, where's this question, Emily? Can I say it again, please? I started thinking about the question when you asked it. Could you repeat it again? Sorry.
Yes. Is there a way that I can ensure that my employees can use Copilot chat and guarantee that they are authenticated?
I don't think there is a way, just at this point in time, Rona. I don't know if you can add anything there, but we are looking into some capabilities in the discovery to add SSO, so verify if there's MFA available or enabled for specific users, and we also are thinking about having like distinction about SSO and then non-SSO application as well. But it's nothing committed at this point in time. It's something that we've got in the backlog and think about this in the future as well. So stay tuned with us.
Perfect.
This is the step, and just to bear in mind, we should also acknowledge that everything that is related to Copilot, Chat AI, and it's related to it is being addressed in a dedicated team in MDA product group, and they are currently working on prioritizing all the things. And one the thing that was just mentioned here, that authentication of users, is in their backlog. But as Greg mentioned, I don't know about any commitments or ETAs, but I know that it's something that they are considering. So that's that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If you are part of our CCP channel, so internal NDA community, you can ask those questions there as well about the roadmap, and we actually can keep you closer up to date as well. So for those who are staying closer with us, and we can share some details how to get access to those communities, but we need to verify if you are under NDA as well, your organization.
Great, thank you. And then just one last question. Can we connect Oracle or Workday to app governance?
And no, it's not possible at this point in time. Yes, if you would like to drop us a message about the potential impact as well, and also your use case, we'll be looking into this as well. Yeah.
Perfect.
Into your request.
Great. And then looks like that's what we have time for today. So thank you so much, Greg and Ronen, for being our guests today and for sharing all of that great information. And then just wanted to say to all the listeners still on the line, if you're someone who wishes to aid in the protection of the world from cyber threats and desire to have a say in shaping our strategies, blueprints, and recommendations, then we invite you to become part of our security community. So join us at aka.ms/security community. This is also where you'll be notified about upcoming events, webinars, and other announcements. For those of you who do have additional questions on the topic we covered today, or any other product-related questions, please feel free to raise them on our Microsoft Tech Community discussion space at aka.ms/MDC community. Thank you all for being part of our community and for joining us on these webinars. We hope to see you next time. Goodbye.